Hey, what's up, YouTube family? Al Buffalo here. Wanted to make this video, give you my review of the suspension technology suspension that we had put on my Street Glide back here during Sturgis. Known Mike for a while, love his products. Got introduced to those products when we put some suspension on Mrs. Buffalo's bike. She had lowering shocks on the rear initially when we bought the bike, and they're 10-inch shocks. And lowering shocks are just that, lowering shocks. They don't provide any suspension, anything worth, having a good ride. So we contacted Mike and explained the situation, and he custom made her a set of 10-inch shocks because we didn't want to. He tried to talk me into 11, but we're like, nope, it's got to be 10. So he went ahead and made a set of custom 10-inch shocks for her, and some beefed up springs, and there's not a whole lot of play in there, but these shocks are so good, and the sports are so light that it didn't really even need it. So it was night and day when she got those shocks installed. Ever since then, I've been wanting to replace the Legends that I had put on in Sturgis 4 years ago. Again, never really fell in love with those shocks. The adjustment never really seemed to make much of a difference. At least I never noticed. And I wanted to do the fronts, and we want to do Mrs. Buffalo's front forks as well. But to kind of go back into this story a little bit and talk about the performance of these shocks. And I'll show you real quick. Of course, you can't see the shocks, but we went ahead and put some chrome lowers, which he had. And the unfortunate performance bagger tubes that I had to buy, we'll get into that story as well. And then the rear, sorry I didn't pull my bags out, but they're tucked in there nicely, and they work really, really well. But to get back to my story and my bike, for the longest time, I love curvy roads, right? That's pretty much all we ride here in New Mexico. And of course, you go to Sturgis, that's all there is. And I could always take a right curve and it'd be like on rails. Very little effort, the way it's supposed to be, right? Left-handed curves, I couldn't. I don't know why. And eventually got to the point where I thought it was me. It was a mental thing in my head, because I was pushing just as hard as I would going into a right-hand turn as a left-hand turn. None of the ergonomics has really changed the way I ride my bike. So I couldn't figure it out, but I would going into a left-hand turn, I would have to use up half that lane to make that turn successfully. As to a right-hand turn, I can ride the edge and have no issues at any speed, at any amount of curve. But a left hand would always cause me difficulties, and could never figure it out. I eventually just figured out it was me. It was mental. I had issues with making left-hand sweepy turns. I thought I just, I adjusted the way I sat, where I pushed. I mean, I did everything to see if I was doing it correct or not. And same results, never had anything really, was never satisfied in making left-hand turns. And quite honestly, they were they were not fun. So that's just a little backstory. I had Mike replace the front forks. Unfortunately, I had to buy new fork tubes because last year, if you remember, I ended up getting a flat tire in Sturgis and plugged it up and nursed it to the dealership. And when I got there, I noticed one of my seals was leaking as well. So I told them, well, fix the rear tire and replace my seals. And they went ahead and did that and didn't have had no issues. Mike's crew began tearing down my front end and figures out that they put the end cap or the top cap on one of the fork tubes with an air gun or something. They over tightened it and cross threaded it. So he was like, there's no, if we take this thing off, we're never going to get it back on. And so I'm kind of stuck. The whole front end's tore apart already. And so I go looking around for even a used fork tube at one of the vendors. You know, maybe they replaced them or whatever. And, you know, I figured that many vendors there. The dealership didn't have it. There wasn't a single one in all of South Dakota. And I was getting desperate. And then Mike calls me and he's like, I found a set. And this goes to Mike and it has nothing to do with me. It's just Mike and he's just a really good guy and he wants to help you. And he said, I found a set. I have a set. Dug through, had these guys dig through the trailer and found a set. And I'm like, thank God. So we start making our way back. He calls me up and says, bad news. They're for a trike. So they're not going to work. So I go back into vendor row and start asking people. I'm like, man, I'll take a used one. I don't care, you know, at this point. And nobody had any. Finally found a vendor. They had, they just got hooked up with a company that makes performance bagger fork tubes. And it was so new, they didn't even have it in their system to charge me for it. It wasn't even in their system yet. So the guy calls the owner of this company who makes these fork tubes and says, hey, what do we charge this guy? Whatever. And we landed up, it landed up costing me about $700 for a set of performance bagger fork tubes, black anodized. And really had no choice at this point because I didn't want to have him put all my stuff back to stock and then just go through it just not how I wanted to spend my vacation in Sturgis, right? So I bit the bullet, paid $700 for performance bagger fork tubes that nobody will ever see because they're all covered up. And went back down to Suspension Technologies, gave those tubes to his guys. His guys loved them. They were all excited about putting those things on. You're like, you know what these things are? And I'm like, he's like, you know what you got? I'm like, yeah, expensive set of freaking fork tubes is what I got. And so they're all excited to put them on. And they're like, this along with the actual, you know, engineering of the front inserts that go in. They're super excited to put them in. I was just happy to get it done so we can get out of there. It was a stressful day nonetheless because of that. And hooks me up, puts them in. We take off. I immediately notice a difference. It's all highway. but I noticed an immediate performance difference. So I wanted to try it on the curvy roads. So next day we go out, right hand curve, sweepy curve, no problem, like normal, feels good, rides on rails. First left hand turn, I'm like, okay, let's see. And keep in mind, I never shared any of this with Mike, and he never made me any promises of, oh, we can get rid of that or whatever, because honestly, I thought it was myself. It was me. And so in my mind, I'm like, let's see if this helps, right? So first sweeping left turn, I go into it, counter steer, give it a little push, probably a little bit harder than my right side because I've compensated for so many years because of that. And that thing just went. It went like it was on rails too. I say that, but it was true. And I was like, whoa. I immediately noticed that difference. And as we started going, it started feeling better. I didn't have to push nearly as hard as I was to get the bike to do what I wanted it to do. And uh, that problem disappeared 100%. Now, my right hand and my left hand turns are exactly the same. And it's amazing. It's an entirely new bike, entirely new ride. And I just want to share that with you guys. If you guys ever want uh, a suspension upgrade, call Mike, tell him Al Buffalo sent you, and he'll hook you up. You tell him what you need, what you got going on, um, and he'll put a set of uh, suspension technology shocks that will amaze you. And here's the bottom line, right? Everybody's got good shocks out there, and Mike will be the first one to say that. Everybody's got good product out there. He doesn't badmouth anybody. I can. It's my channel. I can badmouth whatever I want. But minus the $700 fork tubes, minus the chrome lowers, if I would have just kept everything stock and my fork tubes were fine, and he put his suspension in the front and in the back, that cost was less than what I paid for the Legends rear shocks. And that's a fact. I got the receipts to prove it. So the value is there. The customer service is there. Their lifetime warranty. You can't beat that service. And he's not out to create a company that competes with all these big companies like Legends and Olin's and everywhere else out there. But I'd put his suspension up against anybody out there. Guaranteed. You would be satisfied. Our friends that we were camping with wanted suspension, and we were talking about it, and he was going to go with a competitor, and I said, I'm not going to sell you on these shocks. Let's go over there, because we're going to get the front shocks for Mrs. Buffalo's bike, and unfortunately he thought her front end was a wide front end. Hers is a narrow front end. I guess that makes a difference. I don't know. Whatever, I don't know. But he couldn't do hers. We were going to do hers and mine. That was the plan. And but he's going to hook her up nonetheless. He's making a set of custom front shock cartridges for her, and he's got a guy out here that he's worked with in the past that knows how to install them. And we're going to get them installed here. And I'll whenever that happens, I know he's busy coming off of Sturgis, but he's going to ship those to me, and then we'll take them down to this guy and have him put them on, and we'll both be complete with suspension and ready to rip it. So that's to come, and I'll probably film that because I think this guy is the small shop. But getting back to the story, I told our friends, go talk to Mike, see what he's got, look at the suspension they have, and make up your own mind. And he was immediately sold. He had his front and backs done. Again, nothing extra, just front and backs, not all the stuff I had done. And he noticed the immediate difference as well. The biggest difference is, they say the rear suspension is comfort. The front is handling. That's kind of how it works. And I think what makes suspension technologies shocks the best is, well, price. You can't beat the price. The engineering that goes behind it. Mike's background was, NASCAR suspension. He built and designed suspension for racing. And he took that same technology and brought it into the motorcycle realm. And I don't know anybody else that, and I probably calling it wrong, but I have no other way to explain it. He auto tunes the shocks, or like dyno tunes the shocks. So their spring rate, he gets them as close as possible, which is, I think he said it was like 0.3 or 0.2, 0.4, something like that. But that's pretty damn close to get them to match, right, the spring rate. And that's important. All these other places just pull shocks that they manufactured on an assembly line and slap them on, and then try to adjust them while they're on the bike. And one and a half twists and the other one has 4 twists because they're not tuned. So they try to tune them right there. He does it before they even get into the box. So that's super important. I think that goes without saying. One of the things that I think he should probably advertise more than he does is that fact that these things are tuned to match. You can't beat that. So I love them. If you need suspension, reach out to Mike, and he'll hook you up. He's pushing the rallies pretty hard these days, so you'll find him at the bigger rallies for sure. And you won't be disappointed whatsoever. I guarantee it. You will be 100% satisfied with the customer service, the price, the value, the performance. I'm excited to go find me some more curvy roads, especially out here, because our roads are just as curvy as Sturgis, but a little bit narrower as far as roads go. So you got to hold a little bit tighter out here than you would in Sturgis. So I'm excited to go rip some of those. I'm excited to get Mrs. Buffalo's bike done, complete. She was mad at me because I got mine done and she didn't get hers, but it was just miscommunication between me and Mike and what he thought she had and what she actually had. So, that happens, but he's going to make it right, and he's going to send us some down here, and he's going to hook us up with the guy that's down here that he trusts to install them. And what more can I ask for? Super happy. Mike, love you. Love your product. Love my subscribers. Um, we're just hit about 1,800 subscribers. That's a milestone for this channel. I've been hovering around 16, tickling 17, and it's kind of gone back and forth. So I hope all you new subscribers stick around. We got Four Corners Rally coming up here in a week or so. We'll go down there and see what's happening down there for you guys. If you're down there, message me or make a comment in here, and maybe we can meet up or something. But that's the next rally coming up. And then we're starting to make some plans for next year. May not include Sturgis. I don't know. May not. That's a tough one. But we'll see what happens. Love you all. Appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't subscribed, or if you think you're subscribed, please double check it. Hit the little bell icon every time we post something. It'll give you a little reminder. And I think for some reason, if you hit that bell icon, YouTube has a tendency not to think you're a bot and accidentally remove you. This is kind of the way it works. So if you hit that bell, I guess a bot can't hit a bell. So I don't know, but they can watch. So anyway, do me that favor. Love you all. Hope you enjoyed this. Mike, you're the man. And hope to see you soon again. Love you all. Bye.